What is President Trump thinking? And what happened over the weekend? The Director of National Intelligence, John Ratcliffe, and Chris Miller, Acting Secretary of Defense, met with the president on Friday. And if you remember, Chris Miller is who ordered the Pentagon on Wednesday, the 16th, to immediately put a halt to Biden's transition briefings, immediately halting all sensitive intel that would be going to Biden and his team. It was also on that same day, Wednesday, the 16th, that the DNI's Twitter account announced that it would not be meeting the December 18th deadline to submit their report on foreign interference in the U.S. elections, outlined in Trump's 2018 Executive Order 13848. It was on the original due date of that report, Friday the 18th, in which the meeting between the three took place in the Oval Office. Now, by way of review, it is with the submission of that report being delivered that allows the president to invoke the Insurrection Act, which looks a lot like soft martial law. That is why I and many others believed it could have went down on Friday the 18th. Now, there were two conflicting stories as to why Ratcliffe did not deliver the report by his deadline. One, we were under such a severe cyber attack that all the agencies were so distracted by that they decided they didn't have time to do the report and submit their findings to John Ratcliffe. That is unlikely. Second story, the more likely of stories, the agencies turned in their report, and because they are so corrupt, they didn't have anything about foreign influence and voter fraud. And of course, that is not right. And John Ratcliffe knows we had foreign influence, so he refused to sign it. That was all Friday. Now, let's move to the secret war room meeting that took place Saturday in the Oval Office. Who was in attendance? General Michael Flynn was, along with Attorney Sidney Powell, Trump's Chief of Staff, Mark Meadows, Attorney Pat Cipollone, serving as White House counsel for President Trump, and Attorney Rudy Giuliani by way of telephone. It was in that meeting that Michael Flynn and Sidney Powell suggested the president should use military capabilities. Now, whether that was martial law or the Insurrection Act, we don't know. Both Meadows and Cipollone pushed back hard on that idea. Reports actually detail that it became a real shouting match in the Oval Office. I don't want to badmouth Meadows too harshly because he normally seems like a pretty decent guy and Trump does have good instincts, but the man seems to fight Trump on too many things. It was also revealed that Sidney Powell may lead a special counsel for the president, another recommendation from General Flynn. We'll cover that on a later date. You see, Trump is receiving a lot of terrible advice from people around him, but also a lot of good advice from people like Sidney Powell, General Flynn, Lynn Wood, and General Tom McInerney, who, by the way, have all demanded military intervention, which appears to be the only way to save the republic. Another thing I want to bring up is very important. After General Flynn made the remarks during a television interview a few days ago that the president should seize voting machines using military capabilities and rerun the election in key battleground states, the Army Chief of Staff issued a statement on martial law, stating, quote, "There is no role for the U.S. military in determining the outcome of an American election," which is okay. Michael Flynn was likely not even talking about martial law when suggesting those two things, rather the Insurrection Act of 1807. Which is the probable direction that President Trump will take once the report by John Ratcliffe is submitted on foreign interference, which will prove unlawful obstructions and an insurrection regarding the 2020 national election, allowing him to do this or giving him grounds to do it. What does the Insurrection Act actually allow the president to do? I want to thank Epic Times for this paragraph. They outlined it very well. It allows the deployment of U.S. military as well as National Guard troops to suppress civil disorder, insurrections, and rebellions. That is the Insurrection Act. Martial law, on the other hand, means the military has replaced the standing government. And along with that, the highest ranking military official, being the president, would in that moment become the head of state. And the country's constitution, along with both individual rights and freedoms, would become temporarily suspended. And it's at that point that the military would then assume control of all law enforcement duties in the United States, and both the local police officers and sheriffs would then assist the military. If President Trump was to invoke the Insurrection Act, which General Flynn was suggesting, I believe, in his television interviews, that is not a declaration of martial law. The Constitution would not be suspended, nor would habeas corpus be suspended. In the Insurrection Act, the president would be sending troops to enforce already existing laws, not overriding the current laws. You see, we have been saying here for the last few weeks that we believe martial law or something like it will likely occur very soon. And the next play in this string of events may just be that, the Insurrection Act. So let's get back to it. What is President Trump thinking? Do you think President Trump is indecisive? Or do you think he has a plan? Do you think he knows more than everybody else in the room or not? I want to give you a few possible outcomes on what could still happen. 1, the Insurrection Act being invoked. 2, you could let the current court battles play out and ultimately end up in the Supreme Court's hands, a much less likely possibility to work out. You could declare martial law still. The president does seem to be against this idea at the very moment. And actually, there's even some chatter that Biden won't even be inaugurated on Inauguration Day because he'll be arrested by then. That he will actually make a deal so he doesn't have to go to prison. Maybe that seems far-fetched to you, I don't know, but that would be really cool. And just to reiterate one more time, ultimately, it looks like this is going to be a military thing. The chatter from many insiders, the military wants Trump to do everything he can before they step in. Whenever his options are completely done and he didn't get anywhere, then the military will step in. I just want to encourage you, whoever's watching this video today, pray that God would give us grace in this time. If Biden wins this, we'll join the New World Order, and Jesus is coming back very, very soon.